Do you want to start?
Yes, so again, welcome. Now we do have a quorum because Miss Michelle joined us. And if I'm not sure how much of that you caught, but Deborah did, Miss Deborah Russell did provide a committee update for the Media and Communications Committee. And you can correct me if I missed something, Deborah. But just for review, the Communications Committee met to discuss or to look at different things that are happening within the communications and media. And so some of the things that they're going to follow up on is to review summer youth employment program data. They will also review newsletters from other agencies to check to see or to determine if there's a way for us to collaborate and try to share some of the information together with other agencies throughout the community. They're also going to review some of our social media policies or platforms and to discuss the accessibility of it, but to also ensure, that it is accessible for individuals with varying disabilities so that it meets what their needs are. They intend to do all of this and then of course kind of gather this information to cross-reference it, and we'll come up with a proposal that's something that's least costly, as she said, but that is where they intend, and I don't know if I said this, but they do intend to meet with Miss Jocelyn Harris, who is a staff member here at RSA. And they're going to invite her to the meeting to further discuss media publications that DDS is doing.
You did a great job.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for reporting out.
Absolutely.
Anyone else want to go forward with their reports from the other 3 committees that we have?
Sure, I'm happy to go. Hi everyone, Chloe Peoples. Sorry to have my camera off. I have COVID, so not looking my best, but I'll do my best. The policy committee met a couple of times. We reviewed the RSA case transfer policy and commented and sent those comments back to Rachel from DDS. I'll put that in the chat and go over our biggest recommendations. 1 second. Not working. Okay, while I try this, I will go over what we talked about. So the main things where we added a couple of timelines in the policy, it suggested timelines just to ensure that clients were being informed of any case transfers. Not good at multitasking this morning. Okay, I will share it after I talk about it. Sorry. And the second thing was a recommendation that a case transfer denial would be appealable through all the due process avenues. I think there was a comment chain in the policy about that, kind of going back and forth about whether it would be. And I think the statute language is pretty clear on it. It should be, if it's a breakdown in communication and a way that a case cannot move forward, it should be an appealable decision. So that was our recommendation.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Which is, so when I don't know if anyone here is in the HCBS advisory group, And so maybe this is a question I should be asking Rachel and Crystal. But when we have the Home and Community-Based Services Advisory Group, we also, which advises us on policies and regulations for our waivers, we always prepare a document that has what all their comments are and what our responses are. And I don't know if we have such a document in this instance, and I think that would be helpful. Because those documents are then posted online and available. And that way people can see what the comments were and what the response was to the comments. And I'll check with our policy people so that we're doing the same thing in both administrations.
Okay, I think the version that we got, it's not something that was online. Rachel sent it to me that had kind of comments from DDS in it already. And so our comments, some of them were in response to those.
Yeah, no, we create, like, it's a PowerPoint that has specific comments that the HCBS committee makes and the
Mhm.
agency's response to each specific comment, which I think
Those
creates a.
are also on the, I'm sorry, I just got back, so I don't, but just FYI, all the HCBS meetings that we have, the PowerPoints are uploaded to our website. If you ever need to see the comments and the agency responses, I can put the link in the chat if that's needed.
That'd be
No,
great.
I was just saying that we need to be doing that on the RSA side as well. So when the SRC reviews things, we need to go through the same process that we're going through for that. Okay, sorry, Chloe, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. And I figured out how to upload. Apologies again, everyone. Doing my best. So yes, we did review the case transfer procedure, and then we had still had some comments on the due process policy. And we're wondering if it would be possible to have maybe someone from legal at DDS come and talk about the mediation option so we can figure out exactly what that process is and how the policy should be kind of adjusted to reflect that.
Actually, there's an update on that as well.
Oh, great.
Which is, we had a meeting last week with I don't know if she's chief ALJ, but with Judge Curry at the Office of Administrative Hearings. And they do have an established mediation program. It was established for housing issues, but they have people who are trained mediators. And so we're going to, in FY26, we're establishing an MOU with them so that we can refer people directly for mediation. So they won't have to go to a status hearing and then be referred to mediation. They can be referred directly to the mediation program.
Oh, great.
And then
So
if that
maybe,
doesn't resolve it, it would then go to a hearing if that's what people prefer.
yeah. Great. So then maybe we'll put the due process policy on pause while that kind of plays out, and then we can just, check in on that and make sure we have that information put in the policy when it comes out. But that's great. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
I think those are the main things we did in policy. We have not talked about the bylaws yet. They do need some work probably. There's a couple different approaches we could take. We could keep it more bare bones and have the committees kind of, make changes year by year of what their priorities want to be, or we could make it more specific in the bylaws. We haven't really had a chance to discuss that as a policy committee or get the takes from the different subcommittees, but it's on our list. I think that's all I've got from the policy committee. Lucas, Anjali, if you have anything to add, if I missed anything, just quite possible.
Also, Chloe, I just dropped the link in the chat for you as well to all of the past HCBS meetings if you need to review those PowerPoint.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have anything else to add, Chloe. I think that that summarized what our couple past meetings were.
And I can give the update from the consumer advocacy committee if you want, Anjali.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I was pulling up, but it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, we met, had a great meeting, and kind of talked through what we wanted the committee to focus on, what we thought would be most helpful. And I think what we landed on was working with RSA to create some surveys about the customer, the client experience throughout the process. I think we also wanted to see what was currently available, what was currently being sent out. And Anjali, I know you sent something to the committee about that. I haven't had a chance to review it yet. It's my first day back, trying to work. But to see what was out there and see what would be most helpful as far as surveys about the client experience.
And we received that.
Yeah,
We
I,
received that, right?
right, yeah, I did send that.
But just this week.
Yeah, just this week. So it actually came after, the information came after the committee met, literally the next day. And I shared that with them yesterday. And so I guess following at the next meeting, we will review that. I will add that, you know, if there are any other suggestions about where this, you know, like what this committee could do, or any other ideas about gaining, I guess, data about services and supports that RSA provides, we're open to that. We were just the last couple meetings trying to brainstorm some ideas, and think very similarly to all the other committees, try to figure out where we want the committees to go. Similarly with Deborah, just gaining a lot of information to kind of decide and provide more of a concrete outline or proposal for our intent.
Can I add something to that? And I was gonna bring it up as kind of a larger conversation. There's a lot coming out at the federal level about what's happening with workers, right? And one thing that I feel like we don't have a handle on is kind of the demographic of those workers, particularly how many of those workers have like Schedule A, for instance. Right now, there are over 67,000 employees that have been laid off by DOGE, and over 178 total federal employees will be leaving federal government by the end of this year. I think that one of the things that DC WIC has been providing is, and I know that Anjali was in the last training, we did training for frontline workers who are going to end up with customers that are federal workers. And so just talking about, you know, sort of understanding who the federal worker is, how do we understand federal government as an industry, and all of those kinds of things. And then we also have been at MLK Library twice a week. For the months of July and August, we were delivering workshops directly to federal workers. We had a partnership with DBS, which was great. They came in and talked about the kinds of services that RSA provides. But I think there's a bigger issue here that I think is worth making sure that we stay on top of, and that is what happens to all those federal workers that were Schedule A. Are we looking at them in terms of employment opportunities, you know, that sort of thing. So I don't know exactly where it all fits, but I do believe that in the next couple of months, we're going to see a significant increase in the number of federal workers, because those who are on administrative leave and are still receiving funds, those end September 30th. those that may have started unemployment around that March timeframe are coming to the end of their unemployment, you know, so we've got a lot going on here in the city. On top of the fact that there are all kinds of other layoffs that are happening as a result. We're seeing grocery stores, restaurants, all those folks are gonna be denominators in our number of people that are looking for work. So I think as much as we can do to think about those individuals that had Schedule A, and how are we helping them find employment as well. And I don't know if there are any other folks that have thoughts about what we should be doing, what we should be doing in the American Job Center, you know, if there are other things that we should be doing to ensure that that group does not get left behind as a result. So, and I'm sorry, let me add this last thing. The state plan, which goes from 2024 to 2028, this year I'll be working on the mid-cycle. We are responsible for providing kind of an update to where we are on our state plan from the Department of Labor. What unfortunately happened, which happened the last time we were doing the state plan, is the last time we did the state plan, COVID happened midway through. And so we had to really talk differently about where we were with the economy. This time, we handed in the state plan before this new administration. So in terms of the labor market analysis, it's gonna look very different this time around. And I'm gonna be engaging all agencies, but I think we need to relook at what we said we were going to do commensurate with where we are now. And then the final thing I will say is, and I can send this out to folks, but the administration sent out something called Winning the Race, America's AI Action Plan. And I will tell you that the money is going to follow whether or not we do these things that are in this document. That's just where we are now. And so we need to think about AI in a very serious way and how we are making sure that we're preparing both those who are practitioners, but also those who are workers. It will no longer be okay to not have the fact that you are knowledgeable about AI on your resume. So there's a lot, and I want to make sure also from this perspective that we're not thinking about this demographic as well.
And I think that's something Chloe and all the others on the Consumer Empowerment Committee, that's something that we can kind of tease out a little bit. I am also interested to know or to get more of an idea of how many workers that we are receiving that were federal workers with Schedule A letters. I know I've seen a few in my unit just as a supervisor, but not too sure about, you know, across all other units in the agency. So we can definitely take that.
And one last thing, and I promise I'll stop talking. So the Deputy Mayor for Education and the Deputy Mayor for DEMPED, I always get that wrong. They are working on a regional approach to this entire issue. And one of the things they're developing is a platform, kind of like a no wrong door for folks that can go and get more information, including connection to career coaching and all that kind of stuff. We probably want to stay on top of that as well to make sure that they are addressing this population and some of the questions that might be unique to them, or some of the things that they may need that might be unique, that is also included in that platform. I can provide, I'm not directly involved in it, but they're supposed to do a demo soon, and I have been invited to participate in that, so I can circle back and let you know what I know. But I think that it would be important that we make sure this platform is inclusive.
I'll just say one of the benefits of Schedule A employees is that generally speaking, they came in initially with some support from RSA.
Okay.
And so if those folks lose their job, they have been reaching back out to us because they knew that the original Schedule A letter had come from us.
Okay.
So we have gotten requests from people with like older cases to get an updated Schedule A letter.
Cool, okay,
Oh, and on the state plan.
Yeah.
I think we had mentioned, we are required and have submitted the amendment to our state plan that was due in July. So we have to do an amendment this year, and then we have to do the mid. Yeah,
oh my, okay.
so,
Well, I plan on bringing all of the agencies together, and you'll hear this a few times because you also sit on a board, but right now I'm just trying to do sort of a landscape analysis, like this is where we are, folks, and, it's very different than the conversation we had a year ago. And again, I'm very cognizant of what's coming out of the administration. And, we're gonna have to mirror some of that language. They're gonna be looking for that to determine how we're going to fund a lot of this. And so we better be prepared to kind of play the game, I hate to say, but that's where we are.
Anything else from that, Chloe?
No, nothing else from me. But if you could send the AI document, that would be really helpful.
Well, it came out of the White House, so I will forward one, and you all can take a look at it as well.
And Deborah, what's the name of it? Oh, I'm sorry.
It's called Winning the Race, America's AI Action Plan, and it came out of the White House.
America's AI Action Plan. And forgive me, could you repeat the first part?
Yeah, Winning the Race.
Okay, thank you so much, Deborah.
Sure, no problem.
I can speak a bit about the nomination committee. Allison is on.
No, she's not. She sent a message
Okay.
saying that she had she's called into something.
Okay. The nomination committee just met kind of via email. And Allison drafted up our purpose and duties of the nominating committee. And so everyone in the committee got a copy. Andy and I chatted about some of the comments, questions that were in the comments yesterday. So I'm gonna email the team that information shortly. And that was pretty much it. We didn't really have a formal meeting, just kind of the drafting of our purpose and duties, just to kind of give us some direction and clarity on our purpose. And I imagine once anyone and everyone has given comments about it, we would distribute it to the entire SRC to review.
Yeah. So that does complete our committee updates. Does anybody, before we move on, have any questions or comments to add to that? I think we kind of threw in the questions and comments during each update, but if there are any final thoughts before we move on, please feel free to do so now. Okay, if not, I'll move on to the next portion of our agenda, which it's titled PCO Work Group Discussion. This is in reference to our budget, and I guess as people know, it has been, will be reduced. And so for the first time, I think in a very long time, or at least in forever, the agency will have to look at, or will have to put in place a wait list for our Medicaid waiver. And so one of the things that we definitely want to look at is how to sustain services, but also ensure that we have plenty of food to go around at the table, if you will. And in doing so, we do want to create a PCO work group for both DDA and RSA. We are looking to have these work groups meet for at least the next 6 months to produce recommendations for DDA waiver and RSA service rates amendments. And is there anything else that I want to say about that? We do need a representative from the SRC. So anybody would like to volunteer to participate in that, they will be in-person meetings, at least for the next 6 months, once a month. And they will include, of course, various other entities in our community. So it won't just be you and, of course, DDS, but also other stakeholders that we have. So if you want to take some time to think over it and want to email me later, you can do so. Or if you want to volunteer now, you think that that's something that you are interested in doing, you can let me know. We'll definitely include your name and your email and contact information, and you will be notified of the events for that.
Could I just say a couple of things?
Yes, please.
So just to be clear, DDA and RSA are in very different positions in terms of sustainability of services. On the DDA side, we had a specific reduction in our budget that the council specifically reduced the IDD waiver funds for the year, which is requiring us to impose a waiting list there. However, even before that occurred, even with the expectation on the DDA side, even with the hope and the expectation that the budget that was proposed by the mayor would be fully funded, we had already proposed a DDA cost containment work group, because what we've been seeing over the years is on average an increase of about 8.5% per year increased costs to our waivers. The particularly expensive waiver being the DD waiver. Our average cost per person per year in that waiver is like just over $160,000 a year. Total, our share of that is about $48,000 a year. On the RSA side, we have a different issue in terms of sustainability, which is we have not had a real rate increase in RSA for our providers for 10 years. And if we expect to maintain quality providers, we need to look at that. And so we'll be meeting with this group on the RSA side to talk about looking at other states, where we stand in terms of how they construct their rates. The rates that we have currently for our job development are performance-based. We'll look at how well that's working. We'll look at, as I said, other states, how they're doing it. I noticed Anjali saying at least. It's not at least, it is 6 months. We have work to do. We're meeting once a month for 6 months to produce results. And then we'll be done. And I am aware that Chloe has already volunteered as the CAP representative, but we also did ask for an SRC representative. And so, so even though we would have 2 SRC members, we do still want an SRC member on the VR side of this to have the rate discussion. The other issue is when we revised our rates last in 2015, we didn't have good data to come up with any performance driven rates for job coaching and supported employment. And so that's one of the things that we hope to work on this time, is a rate that incentivizes what we want to incentivize, which is people working more, earning more, and being more independent. The system we have currently that pays an hourly rate encourages providers to see people as a person who requires support 100% of the time at work, because the provider makes more money. Not to sound like a cynic, but I mean, when you just look at the cold numbers, that's what gets incentivized in that system. And so we will hopefully be able to have someone who can help us with that. There's been a really good, I think, and we'll see how effective, value-based payment system that was implemented in the VR program in Wisconsin. And we're hoping to see if we might be able to look at that and implement something like that that rewards all the things we want to reward. And so, as I said, so we will be today sending out the invitation for our first meeting, which will be on September the 18th. And we plan to have those meetings the third Thursday of every month from September to March at 11 a.m. Charlize is going to correct me if I was wrong about the 11. So yeah, that would be where we stand on that. And hopefully, as I say, for the VR side of the house, we really need to look at when we first established our rates were competitive with Northern Virginia, which has its own rate system compared to the rest of Virginia, which makes sense, and pretty significantly above Maryland. We're now lower than Maryland.
Wow.
That's just a sad statement. Because Maryland has just one rate for the whole state. And when you consider there are parts of the state where where a lower rate makes sense, Western Maryland, you know, the Eastern Shore, where the cost of living is significantly different.
Right.
But Maryland's rates are higher than ours. So we absolutely have to do something about our rates. And we probably have to discuss, because I will say in the same period of time that RSA has had no rate increases, the waiver on the DDA side has increased their rates once and sometimes twice a year. And as I said, our costs on the DDA side have gone up 8.5% per year. And that's more than just the rate increase. It's, you know, increased utilization. There's a number of factors that we're going to have to talk about as we look at ending the waiting list that we're starting this year and ensuring that we have services available for everyone that needs them going forward.
And just to follow up, in case anybody's interested to know who the representatives are that will be on within that work group. As Andy mentioned, Chloe, who will represent the client assistance program, also looking to add someone from the Family Support Council, of course, the SRC. We also would like to add 2 supported employment providers, as well as 2 job placement providers and 2 RSA consumers. So those would be the individuals who would make up that work group. And again, if you would like to volunteer, you can let me know now, or you can send me an email. You can send either Charlize or the email. Just please, someone step up.
And the RSA consumer could be current or former. And that tends to be our most challenging category, because when we're successful, people are working and they don't have time for the meetings.
That's true. If there are any questions about that, we will move on to our next part, which are the director's updates.
I think the only update I have at this time is our case management transition, which occurred in August. And Anjali might have more specific information. It occurred. We had staff from Libra on the ground during the transition, and we continue to work closely with them to address kinks in the transition. But staff are working on ensuring that they get authorizations issued.
So there have been, you know, I don't think it's a secret that it's been some challenges, which has created some delays in services. But I will say that any of the delays, for the most part, we've been able to resolve and get responses back. So for those that work with our clients, if you're hearing that on that end, we are working through it. It is a process. While it is the same company who, I guess, serviced our previous case management system, it is a completely different layout. And so our staff and myself and everybody that's been working in it we've been having to really put on a different lens and adjust to using that system. So it's not been easy, but we are definitely a lot further than where we were at the beginning of last month, or even within the last couple of weeks. So that has been the biggest, what's going on at RSA news to share with you guys.
Other than that, there is no news to share regarding filling the deputy director position, so.
For transition.
So just so people are aware, there's the FY 25 freeze that was put in place because of the challenge that we had with Congress retroactively changing the district's budget. So we had a hiring freeze, and almost all of our RSA positions are 20% funded locally. And so this freeze affected those positions. We did recently, just in the last week, our transition program manager has left, but we will be posting that position. Since it is September, we can move forward on recruitment, interviewing, and then we would be able to hire the person with an effective date of October.
Anything else?
I don't know of anything else, right? That the whole informed thing has been the major focus of everyone.
Okay, so if anyone, the last item on the list is if anybody else has any updates or just any things that they would want to share in general, maybe not necessarily anything that was discussed, but something that has come up, you are more than welcome to do that at this time.
Just going back to the transition program manager leaving, is there a plan or what's going to be going on to make sure that pre-ET services and transition services are still moving forward without delay?
Oh, they'll all be in place. I mean, we have a transition project manager. We have three transition supervisors. So that will not cause any delay in those services.
And I would add that the team there is very quick to handle situations like this. It, unfortunately is not anything that we're new to. So
yeah.
I've worked with them, I've worked in that unit, and I would agree that we're all equipped to keep it moving.
Because all of it's based on sort of agreements that are already in place. Yeah. And so.
And it is the beginning of the school year. So, as much as, we don't want to see things like this happen, it's a good time too for transition because we're at the beginning as opposed to being kind of smack in the middle where services, pre-ETS services kind of pick up. Any other updates or comments? Ms. Reed, not to put you on the spot, but I didn't know if you had anything to share or you wanted to introduce yourself as this is the first meeting that you've joined us this year. And if you're speaking, I did see that you took yourself off of mute, but we're unable to hear you if you are speaking. Yeah, I'll take. We can hear you typing, so if you want to speak, it is working. We can hear you typing.
Oh, you can't. Good.
Yes,
Good.
We can hear you.
Yes, I was trying to let you know that I'm involved with the SRC probably about 7 to 10 years. That receive services through DDS and RSA. And I'm hoping that the meetings will get back on schedule. I like to try to find out where I could fit in and help with volunteering or helping other families.
thank you.
Thank you.
This is probably, I would say our third or fourth meeting, so we've been able this year to meet pretty regularly, and the committees are just now starting to take off. So the meetings will continue to happen and they'll be on the agenda, so we'll make sure that you do get a copy of that invite, and welcome.
Yeah, we've just recently, although
Thank you. I appreciate that.
very few people that would see it there, posted our meeting schedule for next year in the DC Register. But that should also be on our website. It is the first Thursday of every month, every other month. So it would be November, January, March, May, July, September. With the exception that the first Thursday in January is like January 1st. So January's meeting will be January 8th. But all those meeting dates will be posted on our website. And as Anjali said, we can include when the invite goes out with the whole year's worth. Charlisa will make sure to include you just so that you're aware.
Great. Thank you.
Alrighty, if there are no other questions, comments, or concerns, I think this will conclude our meeting for today. Please continue, of course, to meet with your committees. We look forward to hearing the updates, and we will reconvene in November. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.